And so she has engineered for herself a GTM persona that she now uses for her clients. And she'll train the persona on the brand voice, train the persona on her SOP for how she creates these go-to-market strategies, and boom, her work is done in, lightning speed, as opposed to, how manual it was previously. And then probably one of the most wild use cases that I've ever come across this was
GTM AI Podcast with Jonathan and Coach K, where you get the latest with AI and GTM today.
Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. It is I, Jonathan Kvarfordt, aka Coach K, and this is the GTM AI Podcast. I am absolutely thrilled because, and he doesn't know this. I'm going to say this because I've been nerding out. But I found your technology. Gosh, when I find it, a year ago, something like that. And I was leading a marketing team at the time, and I was nerding out on it. And I found your Facebook group, and just was following you, and I've just been loving your stuff ever since. So I've been a super fan in the background, and I just honored that you had a chance to come join me. So this is Dustin from Magi AI joining me. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That made my day. It's been a bit of a rough week planning for, the Christmas break, and great to end the week on some positive praise. So thank you for that.
There you go, man. I love it. So before we get into the details, I have a bunch of nerdy questions, business questions. I got a lot of stuff to ask you. But before we go there, I want to know about you. So if you can, give me the non-resume version of Dustin. Like what's your background, where you come from, why are you doing Magi AI? Tell me about your journey, and we'll kind of go from there.
Well, I kind of started my professional career as a designer, graphic designer. Was working for a t-shirt shop, designing t-shirts for organizations, ministries, nonprofits, etc. And just became fascinated with this idea of how social media and the web was sort of allowing people to build a platform for themselves. I don't know if you've ever heard of a guy named Michael Hyatt, but I sat in a room with him, and he was explaining to me how this whole onset of social media allows literally anyone, levels the playing field for anyone to build a following, an audience, and, turn themselves into a brand. Essentially, this is before he published his book Platform. And so he was kind of going through that book at the time. And so I got it right away. And so I became fascinated with, growing online presences, and I started a little blog. Love social media. I'm a social person. I'm probably one of the most extroverted people you'll ever meet. So I love social media, started writing about what I was finding at the time. There wasn't a whole lot of social media gurus out there. Like, the whole thing was just kind of evolving. And so long story short, I taught myself web design because I didn't want my blog to look ugly. I taught myself marketing because, that's kind of what fascinated me. As a former actor, I guess a whole nother part of the story I could get into, make it a lot.
That's cool.
I love human psychology. And so the whole psychological angle of design and marketing was really fascinating to me. And anyways, so I started blogging about marketing and social media. Before long, people were contacting me going, "Hey, you seem to know a lot about this stuff. Could you help our business with it? Maybe consult us on some things?" And 12 years later, I ran for 12 years, I ran a marketing agency. We were building websites and driving organic traffic to it through social media and through SEO. So I became very proficient in those areas. Now, the problem with me is I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So when you spend, 3 hours trying to figure out how round and what color the button should be, it doesn't scale very well. It's hard to delegate. So I couldn't scale that business. And I realized that my perfectionism might be better put into crafting products that many people can use. And so I started doing that. I built my first digital product with a couple of partners. We built a WordPress plugin because we were all building WordPress websites, and that plugin company did very well. And in 2020, I decided to exit due to differences with my partners. We grew apart, for lack of a time to explain. We parted ways, and I went on a journey to kind of figure out what's my next product. How am I going to, make an impact on the world and help as many people as possible. So had some ideas, very ambitious, didn't really have the capital to execute on them in the full capacity. And those products actually launched, but failed to launch because they never really caught enough traction to take on. So at probably the lowest point in my life, feeling like I had nothing else to give to the world, everything I was doing was failing. This was still, right off the end of the pandemic. I'm like, I need to go find a job or something. And, then this thing called ChatGPT came along. And I started using it right away. As a marketer, I've been using AI tools for years, and they all sucked. Every single one of them. They were helpful to a certain extent, but were more work and trouble than they were worth. But ChatGPT hit, and I'm like, this is going to change the world. This is going to change everything about how we work, live, and operate. And culture will never be the same. And so I started using it. I had a few clients that had picked up at the time and started using it on their projects and realized, this is really great, but why doesn't ChatGPT do this? And why doesn't it do that? And why does this experience suck? And
Right.
the product designer in me went, I can do a better job. So I decided that I was going to build a better ChatGPT.
Nice.
Really just with tools that make sense for business owners and organizations, right? Things like folders, search and filter, teams where you can invite people to collaborate, team collaboration, that sort of thing. And so in about 8 weeks, I figured out how to build an MVP by myself, no development team, no investors, no sources, literally broke as a joke because of my last 2 projects failing. And I released it out into the world, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah, I love it. Like I read, I think it was either on your profile in the Facebook group, you posted about your journey and just like at a low point you're at. Like it's one of those times where you don't really know what people go through until you see things like you're like, holy Hannah, like you obviously went through a lot because you went through a little more detail in your posts, but and I'm just grateful that you're, in a place you are now. And I know that me saying that doesn't probably mean a whole lot to you, but to me, like it was showing a lot about your own journey. Cause a lot of times it's easy to see success of things and be like, oh, that's easy. It was just been awesome. And you're like, there's years of struggle behind this thing.
Yeah. Years
So-
and years. I mean, a decade plus, really. I mean, like I said, scaling an agency was very difficult for me. So we were never really,
Right.
financially thriving, but we were always getting by, my wife and 3 kids and I. And in 2019 to 2022, my wife was dealing with some very serious health issues. So, that kind of
Right.
compounded the fact that my businesses were failing. These ideas that I had didn't seem to take. And, a lot of the support that I had kind of drifted away. And so, it was a really rough time. And I think all entrepreneurs go through that. Like whether you're a business owner or even if you're a working professional, we have seasons of life where, we're just in a valley and nobody on social media talks about the valleys. Well, at least not enough people do. And so I like to be an advocate for people who are struggling. And, I'm here to say that you do get through those valleys. There are sunny days. You just have to kind of put one step in front of the other and keep the dream alive by knowing that if you're still here, then there's still a reason for you to be here. And so just take a step forward every day.
I love that. This is probably a podcast for another day, but I'm a big advocate for suicide awareness and prevention just because of history behind losing too many people to it. And so like this world of depression and like I could have a whole podcast because I used to work at at-risk youth in Chicago. Like there's a whole thing there, but like, I'm just telling you, for me, I appreciate your willingness to be vulnerable and transparent with that because it's meaningful. So thank you. I'm going to shift just a hair because I really want to know from you, like, let's talk about the sunny days part because now you heard about the struggle. Where are you at now? Like, where's Magi AI now, and what's the success you're seeing, and where are you looking forward to? Like, tell me the scoop.
Yeah, I mean, we are really blessed. My perfectionism is being put to good use because I mean, I really once I had this idea, I mean, I literally haven't stopped because just the idea that what AI is doing for businesses and for working professionals and for creatives, I think is such an evolution in our society that like it wakes me up every day, and I'm excited to work on how do I make the app better so that it gives more people easier access to all these amazing AI tools. As a creative myself, I suffered so many instances of creative burnout, managing 12, 13, 14 different clients in as many different industries, having to churn out marketing content and creatives over and over and over. Like it was just sucking me dry. And so like I get genuinely excited about the things that AI is unlocking for people every day. And so I'm loving that I get to put my perfectionism to good use in a product that people are absolutely loving. I mean, we've got some of the best users in the world. The smartest AI people in the world use Magi, and that's no joke. I mean, we've got, AI consultants, experts, we've got large companies, enterprises, we've got universities who are using Magi at scale in the classroom, teaching students how to take advantage of all these different AI models and they get to do it from one singular location. I think that's super cool. That
Yeah.
it's a vertical that I never would have thought of. I wasn't really a great college student myself. The University of Notre Dame contacted me, was like, "Hey, we're using Magi in our classroom. Thank you so much for building this because there's nothing else like it."
That's
That
awesome.
that blew my mind. And then every week we're getting more and more enterprise inquiries, and it's just super cool to see. Like, I could only think of so much to do with AI. I think I have pretty large capacity for, what AI is capable of and
Right.
how to apply it to different
Right.
realms. But like, continuously, my users are blowing my mind with what they're using it for. So it's very
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, I can say, so I'm gonna have you, because we haven't actually talked about the tech history and like what the heck is this you're talking about? But like when we were using it a year ago, the thing that I loved about it was I was trying to enable my product marketing team, which was 5 people and me. So I had 6 people, and we
Mhm.
were leveraging Magi for this because at the time ChatGPT was on, I think it was better when 4.0 came out a year ago. Well, I think it was. Anyways,
Mhm.
we didn't have Magi gives you folders and ability to share personas and be able to share things. You couldn't do that in ChatGPT before.
Mhm.
And like you couldn't search for things. You can search for things there. And I know it's changed since because they've come out with folders and search since then. But like you were
Mhm.
ahead of the curve a year ago with this stuff. And now you're like,
Yeah.
in my opinion, you're a year ahead of where they are now. Cause now they're releasing all this stuff. You're like, I was there a year ago. Where have you been? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So
Personas, we had those from day one. And
yeah.
then I think 10 months later, they were like, "Hey, GPTs." I'm like, good luck with that name. The whole GPT thing seems to be going away. But, it's nice that, OpenAI is finally catching on.
Yeah. Well, tell me this. Give me the scoop. For those who have no idea what the heck you do, how do you describe your platform?
Yeah, so Magi is one subscription to give you access to all of the subscriptions you're probably already paying for. So instead of having to pay for ChatGPT Plus and Claude AI and some form of Stable Diffusion or Leonardo AI or Runway or Luma Dream Machine, all these AI
Yeah.
tools are packed into Magi under one subscription. So you don't need to have all these separate tools and these separate workflows. You get to get all of those same exact apps and more. We have over 30 different AI integrations that gives you direct access to the same technology, the same AI models, but in my opinion, a better interface and under one subscription, and with a bunch of tools that help you augment and implement these tools in a way that keeps your sanity and keeps your organization flowing as it should.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like, this is where your perfectionism was definitely a nicety for me because I was like, this is so nice. It flows so well, and you can organize it so nicely. And like, just compared to even now with ChatGPT, there's a lot of things that your tech does that it doesn't do, and I don't know if it will do. But it's fascinating. I'll give you an example of one thing we did a year ago. So we were trying to make blog content, and we were trying to figure out, like, in a startup, and we had 100 people in the company, and trying to figure out what the CEO and the brand voice was. So I was like, I know what we can do. Let's put in the transcripts from the two co-founders of like a couple pages, threw them into a persona, and it created this voice of the brand that when we gave it to the co-founders, like, we love this. Where'd you do this? Like, we just took your voices and mixed them in Magi and just created this persona, which we named the product, but it was literally just the voices and transcripts of the founders. We made so much content out of that, just pump it. It was awesome.
Frank, get right out of it.
Yeah. And it's like people, at least for me anyways, before GPTs came out, and then when I used that first, I'm like, this is so powerful because like this would have taken me forever to do by myself. And now I do that kind of thing all the time, but it's that kind of thing. I don't think people understand the impact of what technology like yours does. So what I'd love to have you do is you don't have to name names, but give me some meat of the use cases of like people use it for this, and this is the impact, and it saves them this much time. Like, I'd love to hear some of that from you. And because I know you know way more than I do from my limited use of it. So
Yeah, I mean, so what you just said is probably one of the most popular things people do. Like, we all know that if you ask ChatGPT or Claude to write something for you, it sounds nothing like you. It
yeah,
usually sounds like generic AI stuff. It might be good, might be bad, might be okay, but
right.
hardly ever sounds like your voice or your style. And so having the ability to create a persona, tell an AI, this is the brand voice, this is our writing style, and maybe here's some examples of it, write in this style. And then just being able to switch that persona on anytime you need a new thing written, it's a lifesaver, right? Before that, we were using ChatGPT and trying to write stuff for our clients, and it was like an hour of just cleaning it up, right?
Right.
But as of now, I have several brand voice personas or different purpose or use cases for different personas where I'll literally just write a post about the future of AI and how I think agents are going to change businesses forever. I'll give it that one prompt, I'll hit send, and what it comes out with, because I've trained it on my voice and given it examples of my writing style, what it produces is 100% spot on. I can literally copy and paste it into the Facebook post or the Twitter thread, or, whatever application is I'm sharing it towards. And that's big. I mean, I liken it to when people would hire me as a ghostwriter, right? So even though I'm doing all the writing, essentially, the person who I'm ghostwriting for has to proofread. They have to look at it and have to sign off on it and say, yeah, it's like the political campaign. I approve of this message, right?
Right.
I think it's that same thing. And when you can fine tune an AI persona to do exactly that, I mean, your ability to create content, to create really anything that is written, just goes through the roof in terms of productivity, efficacy, efficiency, consistency, all the things that, us marketing people love. I could literally hand it to a VA who's never been taught about my voice, who hasn't read all my content. I can tell the VA, here's 15 subjects that I want to talk about next year. Have my persona write all the posts for me and then send them my way so I can improve them. Right? Like, how many hours of work did that save? And, you convert that right over to dollars. Somebody would pay me $2,000 per article, and it would take me 12 or so hours to write that article. We can write that same article with a persona trained on our client's brand voice. We could do that in 30 minutes. I mean, it's just, there's no contest. Like, our evolution as a society is really growing. Like, it's just super exciting. So that's like the most obvious use case. There's another one today. I was speaking with a really great friend of mine, a longtime friend. Her name's Stephanie Garcia. She is like the GTM girl. Like, she loves, like, as much as I love obsessing over how round the buttons should be and what color, she loves building go-to-market strategies. Like, that is her thing. And so she has engineered for herself a GTM persona that she now uses for her clients. And she'll train the persona on the brand voice, train the persona on her SOP for how she creates these go-to-market strategies, and boom, her work is done in, lightning speed, as opposed to, how manual it was previously. And then probably one of the most wild use cases that I've ever come across
Quick ad break. Unlock your AI edge with GTM AI Academy. We've got actionable tools and insights tailored for sales, marketing, enablement, RevOps, GTM leaders, and GTM teams. Plus, grab our free demo tools library to level up today. Visit gtmaiacademy.com.
That I've ever come across this was like over a year ago. So I'm sure this person has done so much more since then. So this guy's a director. He was directing a play at the time, and he had just gotten the script for this play. And he uploaded the entire PDF of the play to the AI. And this probably would have taken him about a week to do, but he said to the AI, I want you to read through this entire play, and I want you to create a list of all the props that I need to hand to my stage managers and prop department. And it did exactly that. I went through the entire thing, listed out what you needed. And then he said, now I want you to list out all the characters from the play and order them in order of how many words they speak, and give me a character breakdown for each character so that I know how to cast each one. And it did all of that for it. And then he said, our play is running from this date to this date. Our first rehearsal date is this date. Please schedule all of the different rehearsals that we need in order to get all the characters and all the actors playing those characters the amount of time they need to rehearse. And boom, a whole table calendar, the schedule popped out for him in a matter of seconds. And I think he probably did like one extra stuff. Oh, he was like, yeah, so this actor has a conflict on this day and this actor has a conflict on this day. Rework the schedule accordingly. And boom, it did. And he said, within a couple hours, an entire week's worth of work for him as a director, he had completely done.
Oh, it's crazy. I had I had this similar thing with actually I was in Magi AI. My wife is a teacher, and so she's going through teaching plans. And so I was just asking, like, for you, because every semester she had to go through and prep for the plans for the semester of a class, and it would take her 2 weeks to do it. And so I sat down with her once, and I was like, okay, let's talk. What do you need? I was just playing around. I was like, okay, let's work through this. And she talked me through it. Within an hour, we pumped up the entire semester plan and like all of the specific coursework. And like we had everything done within an hour, maybe probably a little bit longer, hour and a half. With a couple of weeks, she's like, how in the hell did you do this? And I was like, well, that's not me. It's just prompting this good machine that knows how to do this thing, So it's fascinating to think about the things you do with it.
Yeah. So my wife's a teacher too. She's a ELA teacher at a private school here in
Nice.
Mexico. And so one of the features that she loves is that I built into Magi specifically for this purpose was you can paste a YouTube link into the chat and send it off with your prompt and tell it whatever you want to tell it. And Magi will recognize, oh, that's a YouTube video. And what it does is it goes and it fetches the transcript for that YouTube video, brings it over to your prompt behind the scenes, attaches it just like it was an attached document, and sends it to the AI. So the AI knows the entire transcript of that video. So then you can do whatever you want with that video. So she'll have like videos where she wants to make a quiz out of it for a student. She wants to show them the video and then give them a quiz. And so Magi will be able to create an entire quiz within seconds for that YouTube video. And, of course she watches the video, but even if she hadn't watched the video, she would be good to go. She could even, have the AI, produce whole lessons from, a single YouTube video. So that one feature alone is a big one for YouTubers, for anybody who uses YouTube for sourcing content or research. Yeah, that's a big one. And the ability to paste a web URL. So a lot of our marketing people love this one where you can just paste a link to a website, any page, as long as it's publicly accessible. And the AI will do that same thing. Magi will fetch the content from that page, draw it into your prompt and attach it automatically. And so, you'll throw in your landing page and have the AI analyze the copy and say, how can we make this copy better? Or throw in a competitor's landing page and say, this is the competitor's landing page. How can ours, be better than theirs? So really cool. Little stuff like
That's
that.
cool.
The quality of life things. You don't have to go yourself, retrieve the information and paste it into the prompt. It's quality stuff like that. Quality of life stuff is like that is where my perfectionism really comes into play.
Pays off, right?
It was probably an annoyance I had, and I was like, I wish I could make this easier. Oh wait, I can.
Wait a second, I can do that. Well, I'm going to talk about two things with you because of your obviously marketing side and then just what the future of where things are going. And the subjects is one, SEO, and two is agents. So let's first start with SEO. When someone's prompting Magi to do whatever stuff, and I know that things are changing with AI search and SEO, and there's this whole topic around it. So first, I want to understand what you think about it, and then how does Magi come into that play to make sure you have content created that will fit both existing SEO and the new world of SEO of AI search based. What do you think about that?
So I actually have like a 9,000 word blog post drafted about
I want to see it. Yeah.
the topic of AI and SEO. And in it, I outlined the whole process that I take when I'm creating an optimized blog post, because there's obviously a lot of things that AI can do, but there are so many things that AI cannot do in terms of the SEO, real SEO. And so I'm a nerd. I love technology and I love playing with new shiny objects. So I've probably tried several dozen AI SEO article writers, services, SaaSes, mixture of the two. And they're always terrible. Always. And it's for a reason. It's because people who are building these applications are developers, not SEO experts. And that's often why the user experience is so poor as well, because it's made by people who are so smart and so technically savvy that they can't relate to non-technically savvy people. So when it comes to SEO, people just want like a magic button. But the thing you have to realize is SEO is always a moving target, right? It's always changing, especially now, because Google is terrified of AI and the fact that AI is going to completely obliterate SEO as we know it. And people are going to ChatGPT or Magi instead of Google search, right? So they're constantly tweaking that algorithm So the fact that you would go to an AI model and say, write an SEO optimized article for me, you're assuming that it knows what the most current SEO best practices are. And odds are it does not, because it was trained on static information that is at least 6 to 12, maybe even more months old. So that's the one thing that you always have to understand when it comes to AI and SEO. The AI is not going to know the current best practices. However, if you have an AI app that can go fetch a web page, the information from a web page, like Magi you can say, hey, here's this recent article from Search Engine Land that says, here are the best practices for 2024 SEO that you need to know about and start implementing today. You can start your conversation with the AI by giving it a link to that page and saying, memorize these SEO best practices and let's start writing an article.
Yeah.
Right? So key is to understand the assumptions that you make when you have AI write for you, especially in terms of SEO. But if there's a way you can augment the AI's knowledge, you can definitely get a head start over those people who don't really understand that SEO is a moving target. So I think, I get a little ranty when it comes to that particular subject.
I love the rants. Bring it on.
If I'm off target from your original question, let me know. That's kind of where I think the state of AI and SEO is and how it can help you. I think it definitely can help you write SEO optimized articles. I don't think SEO is dying anytime soon. I mean, how many times have people predicted the death of SEO over the last 10 years? And while now I think is the scariest time forever in terms of SEO, I still think behavioral patterns, they take a long time to change. People are still going to search Google. And here's the thing about AI that people don't seem to realize is that AI is scraping content from the internet and it's ranking it in pretty much the same way that Google is. I mean, so good SEO should translate to good AI SEO, if that's even a real thing. So just continue to follow the best practices, create great content that's helpful and useful and well optimized, and you'll be fine. The last thing I'll say about that is, I think any great SEO article that is worth its weight will have a genuine utility to the audience. And AI is not going to be able to understand, what utility needs to go into that for your audience. You have to actually do the work to tell the AI, this is my audience. This is what I want them to get out of it. This is the value I want them to take from it. Let's keep that our main objective, not keywords. And as long as you keep the human in the loop there and really craft articles rather than just offloading article creation to AI, I think the the good stuff will rise to the surface, as it always does. Because what we know about human nature is the people who are lazy, who are uninformed and trying to cut corners, their content is garbage and it's going to sink. And the people who actually spend the time to handcraft value for their audience with SEO in mind, it will always rise to the top.
I'll make sure I include your blog on this because your blog is a good example of what you're talking about. Like there's several articles I've actually referred to because I teach a Bryant University class to AI. And this last course go around, people are like, well, how do I know what's between models? I'm like, here, there's Dustin's blog. He answers the question. Like, it's a genuine utility, valuable thing. And I was like, I don't have to write this because Dustin already took care of it for me. Like, it's that kind of thing I think people need to think about from a consumption point of view, because otherwise they're just spitting out posts. They're like, I didn't do anything to read for it. This doesn't do anything for me. It's just content. So
we have another one that I'm trying to finish, but it's so hard. My companies keep coming out with new models, and so it makes it very difficult.
Makes it hard.
So I've got this one article that I'm writing where I want to go through all of the top AI image generators and put them through a gamut of tests. So give them the same prompt, 10 different models, the same prompt, and see how they do on each prompt. And so you can kind of get a sense, choosing the right LLM is hard enough. Choosing the right image generator, oh my gosh, because there's so many more of them. So we're going to create this entire article that's just going to have hundreds of examples of, here's this prompt with these 10, and here's a more complicated prompt with those same 10. What do you think? Go through.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, one more section, and I know you and I got to bounce, but let's talk about agents real fast, 'cause I know you're about to launch something which is super exciting. So tell me about you're adding actions, which are, I guess you're calling agents. So
Mhm.
just to make sure we're not confused, let's start with the basics first and talk about there's AI, there's AI automation, then there's agents. So if you can define
Yeah.
each and then what you're doing with that.
Yeah. So here's the thing: the word AI, or the phrase AI agent, has been thrown around since ChatGPT day 2, right?
Yeah.
And it bothers me a lot because I think it's more hype than help. It's people trying to sell advanced versions of the same AI software that we're all using.
Okay.
And to me, an AI agent is an AI model that can display some degree of agency, which means it can take and make a decision to take some action that is not
Yeah.
just regurgitating or outputting text, right? Can
Right.
do things. That's what I consider an AI agent. That's why I've called our personas in Magic. Because up to this point, they're just really fine-tuned personalities that you're giving the AI. They're not taking
Right.
actions outside the app. But right now, my developers tell me before the end of the year, they'll have this done. We're giving our personas the ability to take actions. So you can build custom actions, and we'll have like a library of available actions, kind of like the old plugin library that OpenAI had and then kind of got rid of. But just like
Right.
GPTs can now be, augmented with actions, you'll be able to augment personas with actions. And we're going to
Cool.
open this up to the entire community. We're going to release our persona marketplace where people can create these high level personas with actions or without and distribute them to all users. And you can kind of, pick them from the community, the ones you want, or they can sell them.
Yeah.
I envision a world where people are creating these really high level agents and selling them and making a living building these high level agents and maintaining them for companies who find great
Right.
value in them. So that's phase 2 and 3. Give them actions, open up the marketplace. Then phase 4 really has me excited because it's where we tie in the idea of automation. So not just
Mm.
having a persona that you have to prompt and then prompt and then prompt, or an agent that you have to prompt, prompt, prompt. You'll be able to chain workflows together. So you'll be able to tell persona A, execute X, Y, and Z prompt, then pass it over
Mm.
to persona B, and that persona will create or execute A and B prompt and then take this action and then pass to persona A. So you'll be able to create entire procedural workflows that can
That's awesome.
happen with or without you present. And that
Yeah.
I think is going to just reinvent work as we know it.
So when's the timing of all these things of the phases you're talking about?
So my developers tell me by
Hopefully.
end of the year, by the end of this year, December 30th, they said that they will have the actions ready to deploy to all Magi users. And we'll have a handful of our own actions that we'll give people access to activate or turn on or off. And hopefully in January is when by the end of January is when we want to release the workflows.
I'm nerding out already. Just thinking about, like, ooh, let me have that thing. So I'm hopefully we talked before about what you're doing with the actions and with the agents that you're doing. Like, I'm super stoked about it, so I can't wait for it. And hopefully I'll be able to throw in a couple of my own in there because it just sounds like too much fun. I can't miss out on this. But I just want to say, Dustin, like the what I appreciate about you, and I'm gonna again say this very genuinely, from being in your Facebook group to the blog you put out to the tech you have in general to all the things. Like, I know you're a one man crew with a bunch of contractors and team and all that kind of stuff you're doing. Like, you're a small team, but you function and you act as if you're this enterprise level thing, and you're giving so much value to the marketplace that I've used your resources many times. And so I just want to say, as a beneficiary, thank you for what you do. And I just love your passion, what you do for everyone. You're just real. And I appreciate about that. So I just want to tell you, thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Anytime. So, okay. If people want to get in touch with you, Magi, MAGAI.co is the
Yep.
website. And then, is there a way, do you prefer LinkedIn, Facebook? Like, where do you prefer people to reach out to you if they want to talk to you?
So as a former social media marketing consultant, I am on all the social things and I've at Dustin W. Stout on all of them. I can say I don't check LinkedIn very often because when I do, it's like 100,000, spam messages
Thanks.
that want to send me hot leads. I'm like, no, thank you. That sounds weird. So I don't check LinkedIn often, maybe once every 2 weeks or so. But I'm all over X, Instagram, Threads, Facebook,
All the things.
Pinterest every now and then.
I love it.
Blue Sky.
Well,
I just got on Blue Sky again.
Hey, I know I got on Blue Sky a couple weeks ago, so I'm with you there. But thank you. I'll make sure you have I'll have obviously the website. I'll have probably your Facebook, and I might add your LinkedIn. We'll see. I'll add something, and I'll make sure people can touch you. So first off, thank you, and yeah, just appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the GTM AI Podcast. Please follow, subscribe, like, comment, and come back for more.